Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Transformation Tuesday. I'm so excited to share my client with you. This gal, this young Jesus gal that I connected with through Google, of all places, is really rocking out her sugar-free lifestyle. And she has an amazing testimony to share with you, a story that I believe is going to just inspire you and have you wanting to learn more. And so we're going to take this time together to share for about the next 10 or 15 minutes. And once you get to know her amazing story, I hope that you will follow along in her footsteps because she's doing something amazing. And I want you to find the healing and the victory that she's finding as well. So this is Taryn Moore. And she is coming to us from the state of Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And you'll see she's got a little bit of that Eastern accent as well. But Taryn, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Christine.
Yay. Now remind me, what week in your sugar-free meat program are you on right now?
I'm in week 8.
Okay, week 8 out of a 13-week program. So you are more than halfway and you are like just simply doing amazing. So I thought it would be helpful to inspire other Christian women through the pillars of the program, just to so they can learn a little bit about what we're doing here behind the scenes, and then also share from your heart about what's going on with you. So the 5 pillars of the program are food, fasting, feelings, fitness, and I'm not just talking about exercise, ladies. I'm talking about fitness of the mind as well. And then it's all by faith. So I am looking forward to having Taryn share her experience and her encouragement to you as well, ladies. So Taryn, let's start with food. I
Okay.
want you to share a little bit of your history on how we connected, where you were at, and where you find yourself going, when it comes to making food and choices about what's going in our mouth so that we can go on this healing journey.
Okay. So this is my 5th weight loss journey
Mm,
that I am attempting right now, which is different because God has full control over it.
mm.
Where in times past I thought I was giving God control, but I actually wasn't. So that is what has me here. Um, Food. So this is amazing because before I discovered you on that Google search, I had an improper perspective on how food was the purpose of food.
Mhm.
I was using food outside of what God created it for. So, my understanding now, as you have said and shared, is that food is made to fuel us. It is not made to comfort us. So, if I really have learned from the program and absorbing the lessons that when you use anything outside of God's intended purpose, it can be detrimental to you instead of beneficial for you.
Yeah,
So,
that is was from my experience as well. Our stories are so similar, which is why I wanted to have you on today because I did so many diets. I lost track, Taryn. I'm glad that you know that you can say 5. Mine was probably more like 50, because I was overweight and obese for 30 years. But definitely, I tried to do everything in my own control, counting the points, counting the Weight Watchers points, doing the spreadsheets, all of the checklist, checkity check things, but I never surrendered my food choices to the Lord. I didn't realize, as you explained now, like I was using food as a coping mechanism. And we can do that, ladies, whether we are feeling super sad about something or we're super happy about something. We use food in this variety of emotions. So making better food choices is going to usher in healing. So I know that you're experiencing some successes right now already with your food choices. What has changed in what you're daily putting in your mouth? What has changed?
first of all, when I look at food, I think of exactly that. How is this going to fuel me? How is this going to satiate me? And
Mhm.
I like to sit down and eat one meal like at once instead of multiple, snacking constantly and all the things I
Mhm.
was doing before, or
Yeah.
yeah, just, oh, a thought of food would come to mind and I would go grab it out of the pantry.
Mhm.
I don't think like that anymore. I have designated time that I eat, and then I sit down and eat it all at once and think about it. Does it have healthy fats in it? Does it have protein in it? Is it going to sustain me to
Mhm.
the next meal? I think of it like that. It's meant to
Mhm.
fuel me, not, yeah, not.
That's awesome. Awesome. And then I know when we first connected too, you were still including like some sugars in your way of eating
Oh,
that
yeah.
that would be more like paleo, like honey and maple, like pure maple sugar and stuff like that. But you've had great results after refocusing your mindset and adapting more of a sugar-free, completely sugar-free way of eating. So,
Yes.
and food is something, ladies, that we have to wrap our brains around. Again, as Taryn said, one of the things I say a lot is we have to get to the mindset that food is fuel, and we're going to move into mindset eventually here. But so let's go on to the next pillar, which is fasting, and talk a little bit about that from, just from a very basic level. Not we're not going to go into like extended fasting or anything like that, but what kind of insights have you taken away from that, and based on what your experience, like where you were at in your previous weight loss journeys and where you're at now, like what have you learned about fasting?
Fasting obviously improves our overall health mentally, spiritually, and physically, and brings about self-control, as you say a lot, that restraint that you need. Because a lot of the times I feel when you're having a conversation in your head, when you think about eating something that you know you're not supposed to, or you know that's not healthy, rather.
Right, right.
Yeah. So, or you're like, "Oh, I'm so hungry. I haven't ate all day. I need, and then you excuse yourself to eat that thing that's unhealthy for you because you haven't ate all day." Well, when you're fasting and you're practicing that, those excuses are eliminated because you're learning to build up endurance, and you're learning that, I can set aside a period of time where I'm not eating, and I intentionally do that. So if I go all day without eating, it's okay. I'm not going to starve. This is actually, it's healthy. It's okay. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I was like mind blown when I started learning about fasting. So the first doctor that I learned from is Dr. Fung, and I recommend his book to everybody, The Obesity Code. And I appreciated that he shared that fasting is a spiritual practice and it can usher in these physical benefits. So, and I testify all day, which I think you can agree to, is that fasting, as a person of faith, I used to be like, I don't understand how they can do that. And
Yeah.
now I know better. It is a really powerful spiritual discipline, fasting and prayer. And it really ushered in the gift of self control for me. And that is so important when it comes to changing the mindset, changing our feelings about food. So let's go on to that. I mean, we could sit here and discuss this for an hour, the next topic, but we're going to keep this video short, I promise. So we're going to talk about feelings next, the next pillar, because I always share with my coaching clients that truly the emotional part of this journey is this part, the feelings. So what have you learned about yourself from where you were when it
Hmm.
came to your approach with food, and talk about what I talk about emotional regulation a lot, and how we have to, even in times of happiness or times of sorrow, we have to be able to emotionally regulate and still, take care of our health and wellness to the glory of God. So where do you think you were before, or even looking back before we, like even a year before we connected, what have you learned that you could pass on to anyone watching right now, that how important the emotional aspect is a part of this journey?
For me, the emotional part is absolutely key because in previous weight loss journeys, it was emotional things that caused me to revert back to the way I was eating before.
Mhm.
So that was key, and I didn't understand that. Since coming into your program, I feel that one of the biggest tools that I've gained is the emotional part. I always viewed emotions as negative because I never could handle my emotions in a positive way. And
Mm-hmm.
then I heard you say on one of your morning Bible, the devotion, you know, your talks that you do in the morning that I love so much. I heard you say that God made us to crave and he gave us emotions. And it's like, okay, so emotions are good if God gave them to us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just needed to learn, and this is what I am learning, how to regulate them and process them in a healthy way and
Mm-hmm.
not using food. You know, my emotions should not direct me to food, but when you look into the Bible, King David, who you always reference the Psalms, all his emotions led him to God. And
Yes.
so in happy times and sad times and distress and whatever he was going through, it led him to commune with God. And so that is what I've gleaned from your program and your teaching.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love David. It's no secret that I love David and the Psalms that he's written. And we all know that David is a man after God's own heart. But we hear sermons about that. We hear preaching about that all the time. But what we don't hear preached about often is David's sinful behavior too, and his wayward ways. That's all it's all built into the Psalms as well, too. And so
True.
it can it comforts me, it gives me hope. Like I know that I want to passionately pursue God for my whole being, my physical health, my emotional health, my spiritual health. And I also say this a lot as a coach too. Like I want my coaching clients to show up and remain steadfast, but steadfast doesn't mean perfection.
Right.
We are going to falter. But I was reminded recently in a training that I'm doing about relapses, how we often tend to pile on guilt and shame, which is all part of the emotional journey of a weight loss journey. We tend to pile on the guilt and shame, but as we take positive steps in improving our health and wellness, relapses are actually learning opportunities. And then we can reevaluate, well, where are we? What happened? Now that we're taking the time to emotionally regulate and get a grip on this, it's just so beneficial. Like, I hate to see people in relapse, of course, obviously, but it happens to me, happens to everybody. Again, we're not perfect, but if we can show up steadfast and just continue to put in the hard work of the emotional part of this journey, then that's day by day, step by step, we can just show up as a healthier version of ourselves, even if it's just a small incremental healthier version the next day. The work is worth it, ladies. The hard work is worth it, and you can do it just like Taryn's doing. So, okay, fitness. I want you to share about what has changed for you, where you were with like physical activity. I mean, this is something that we don't talk about a whole lot here because I'm not a fitness nut, but I think it's important that we move our body
Yeah.
and do it as an act of good stewardship now. So tell your little fitness story that you told me about last week when we were in our one-on-one session.
Sure. So prior to this journey, walking, just simply like my husband loves to walk. So after dinner and stuff, he'd be like, come on, let's go for a walk. And sometimes I would feel up to it, and most of the time I would not. Um, a lot of times he had to push me to go because I really didn't want to. And then as I set out on the journey last year, I started to exercise out of obligation, not because I wanted to, only because I knew I should, because I'm trying to be healthy and that's a part of health. Well, the most interesting thing has happened to me since I ditched sugar last week. 3 times, like 3 different days, it's like my body was communicating to my mind, like I'm craving exercise, and not just, a simple walk, but
Mhm.
hard exercise. Like it wanted something more. And so after a couple of days of that, I was like, all right, I'm going to give you what you want. So I did a really intense exercise for like 40 minutes and I felt awesome. But yeah, craving exercise. I've
Yeah,
never, that was really amazing. I've never had that before.
right. Like thinking about remembering all of those days. I can relate to that so much because remembering all those days, like I would have to do something physically active with my kids, for example. And then there were so many days I just simply couldn't do it. And That's exhausting thinking about that, being out of breath, not able to go up a flight of stairs without getting out of breath. Whew, that brings me right back. So I totally relate to what you're saying. And now I love to move my body. I will never be a gym nut, trust me. I'm not going to switch my coaching to be a fitness instructor. Don't worry, ladies. I'm not going to be a boot camp sergeant in my program, but it does feel good to move your body. So, and it's an act of worship too. So when we're stretching at the end of my boot camp, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I go to boot camp. When we're stretching at the end of that, I'm always praying and just praising God and thanking Him for the ability to move my joints, my muscles, and improving our strength and all that. So it's very good. And
Yeah.
then last but not least, because this is the most important part of our journey, is this is all done by faith. It's a faith-based program for women. So talk about the importance of that for you, where you were. I know you're a very strong woman of faith, but maybe a little bit different perspective now, applying it to a health and wellness journey. So share about that.
Sure. Faith is, to me, is our belief systems, right? What we believe. And even though I am a woman of faith and I have been serving God since I was 17 years old, the world, their belief systems still were entangled in my belief
Mm,
systems. So in this journey, when I started to go to the Bible, go to God's word and grasp a hold of what He says, then my beliefs started to align with what He says. And then through the four pillars, the four other pillars, I started looking at the Bible, seeing what God's intended purpose was for those pillars, and then applying that to my life, if that makes sense. So just like I said, he designed food, he designed fasting, he designed feelings, he designed fitness for his intended purpose, all to strengthen us.
mm,
Yeah, so when you look to the word and you understand the purpose in which he made these things and you use them in in the right way, you reap the benefit of it. You reap
yes,
strength, you know? But
yeah.
I had the wrong belief systems. I was entangled with some beliefs of the world or anything I picked up along the way, even through childhood or culture. And I was using food and fitness fast. I wasn't even fasting. So, those things it was a detriment to me. Not fasting is a detriment because it's good for us and God designed it for
Yeah.
us to help our body. So, yes, faith is the biggest piece because it's our belief systems. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And, as a writer, I came up with the 5 F's, right? Because I
Yeah.
love alliterations. But when I came up with that, I just really reflected on what God had taken me through and what I had learned in His Word. And my thought process, my heart had changed completely about every aspect of that. And my pastor recently shared that for so many decades that I was not living a close relationship with Jesus, that I wasn't completely surrendered and sold out to Him, that I had faith in my faith. And now I know better. I have faith in Christ as my Savior. And I know you do this too. We wake up daily and we surrender our lives and our journeys to Him. And I always say this, Taryn, when we show up,
God
ladies,
shows
I'm
up.
inviting you to show up for your health and wellness because when we show up, God shows off. And I love how He is using your story to encourage others. I know you're such an encouragement to the other women in the program. And for anybody that wants to continue to follow your story, they can come and connect with us in the free Facebook group, Weight Loss by Faith. You'll find Taryn in there. She's always commenting and encouraging women as well. And is there any other ways that you want to share or just, encourage them to come into the group and say hi to you or how else they might want to connect with you?
I'm also on Instagram. My
Okay.
name on Instagram is Restored to Health. And you can follow my personal journey. And if you join Christine's private coaching community, I'm in there too. And
Yes.
and also I am in the free community as well. And that's how we can connect.
Awesome. And I will drop links, ladies, to the free community below so that you can connect there. And if you have any interest, any intrigue in wanting to connect with Taryn and myself on a deeper level to step out into this 5-pillar journey of health and wellness, you can also connect with me through the links below because I'd love to have you come and join us and step up, show up and let God show off. So that's what we're all about, ladies. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and leave them in the comments. And I just pray blessings and greater freedom and joy, ladies, over. You can take one thing that Taryn shared today and you can apply that to your life and you can begin your own journey of a heart and healing transformation story. All right, ladies, thanks for watching. Bye for now.